Animatronics are a staple at any theme park in the world, and they can truly enhance the experience you have at the park. From scenes within the dark ride to storytelling within the queue, you will find them everywhere. But not all animatronics will bring joy and magic. Some will bring fear and nightmares. So today, we are going over the 5 scariest animatronics within the Netherlands. Now I can already hear you say, but Grump, why not just make a video about the Efteling? Surely that's where all the animatronics are. And you would be right. But one of the biggest sources of nightmare fuel is not from the Efteling. So let's dive right into it. And quite literally, because the first entry of the list is just sheer terror for anyone with submechanophobia. Submechanophobia is a fear for either partially or fully submerged man-made objects, and in our case that would be submerged animatronics. There would have been a few good candidates for this, ranging from the crocodiles or drowning man at Fata Morgana to the dragon Etna of Yours and the Draak, as she is sitting in the water. Or one may even argue the dragons of Merlin's Quest at Toverland. But in these cases, while they would be scary to people with submechanophobia, they are also not really a surprise. In the case of Fata Morgana, you are on a boat ride, so it makes sense that they will hide something like an animatronic in the water. No, for my choice, we're heading to a ride where you do not expect any animatronics. It is Stefan's fish, and you can encounter this animatronic at the gondoletta in the Efteling. The animatronic got its name from the maintenance crew, but it officially doesn't have a name. So, what makes this one scary? Well, for starters, it is the expectation of the ride itself. The gondoletta is a classic boat ride from 1981, where passengers were going on a 20-minute tour past carefully landscaped areas. Back in the days, the boats would pass through incredibly colorful flower beds, but in 2007 this was exchanged for a more natural look. This boat ride doesn't have any story attached to it, and the main draw was just the nature you'd float past. The one thing that didn't change was that people mostly use it to eat their lunch. So it was all the more surprising that during the renovation in 2015, the Efteling silently added an animatronic to the ride. The fish is based on a carp, but it is huge! And unlike an animatronic that does the same motion for each boat, that is not the case for this fish. The fish is located near the island close to the trains for kids and pops up once every few minutes. Because it happens so sporadically, people don't even know this animatronic exists. But the sheer size of the fins going through the water and the fish popping up is a sight to behold. It is even traveling quite some distance. But often by the time you spot it, it will likely disappear back into the depths, biding its time to scare another passenger. Honestly, this is like spotting the Loch Ness Monster. But seeing that there is an animatronic as big as this one hiding in the lake is a terrifying thought for anyone with submechanophobia, especially since this is not the right way you would expect it at all. And for the next animatronic, we're staying at the Efteling and heading to the Fairy Tale Forest. This forest is filled with animatronics of different sizes, and most are just harmless. But some of them could give kids a good fright. With all these animatronics, imagine a Five Nights at the Fairy Tale Forest game. Anyway, while there are multiple good options, the entry to this list would be the dragon. Amongst the Efteling crowd, it is known as Draak licht geraakt, which translates to the touchy dragon. This dragon is sitting on a wall, waiting for any courageous passerby to try to steal its treasure. It is an imposing sight, and back in the days, the dragon would activate based on motion sensors. This has later been swapped to a treasure chest with the crown in it. Once someone touches the crown, the dragon will angrily bend forwards towards the thief, with smoke coming from his nose and mouth. For kids, this is a terrifying sight. The dragon is 7 meters long and has a wingspan of 4 meters. And the fact that it is reacting to what you do is sure to give kids nightmares. I do remember being incredibly intimidated by the dragon when I was young. A part of why this is more scary than it should be is that you can currently see the mechanics of the dragon from the side of the neck. So I hope the Efteling renovates this classic in the near future, and it will live happily ever after. The next entry on the list is again an animatronic that isn't supposed to be scary, but honestly, it kind of freaks me out. So hear me out, have you ever watched one of the horror classics, Child's Play? If so, you'll know exactly where I'm coming from.
Hi, I'm Chucky, wanna play?
The third entry is Chucky, Max, from the Max and Moritz roller coasters. Throughout the entire Max and Moritz area in the Efteling, you can find drawings of these kids. But the station building has an animatronic of both of them. While Moritz is generally fine, maybe a bit awkward, Max steals the spotlight. It is not supposed to do so, as this is an entry-level roller coaster for children, and the entire vibe of the roller coaster is cheerful. He just looks like a murderous doll who will pounce on you the moment the train is about to leave. I guess the weird movements he does as he's winding up the crank is part of why the animatronic stands out. It's a bit of an uncanny valley situation with the looks and actions of the animatronic. But I don't know, why did they have to model it like Chucky? It is hard to put it in words, so I'm just letting the footage do its work. For our second place, we are heading to one of the Efteling classics, Fata Morgana. And if you know this right, you know where this is going. Fata Morgana is based on the Arabic folk tales, 1001 Nights. You are taken on a boat tour through different scenes of the fictional Forbidden City. And near the end of the ride, you will be greeted by the entry to this list, the Djinn. The Djinn is an imposing animatronic who looms over you as you are traveling through the treasure room. Especially for the younger guests, this is guaranteed nightmare fuel. His eyes are moving around, keeping an eye on the boat as you are floating between his legs. But the Djinn used to be even more scary. A few years after the restoration in 2011, the effect in which the Djinn would shake the entire room around you broke down. Sadly, this hasn't been fixed to this day, and I am afraid we will have to wait until the Efteling decides to completely renovate the ride. This is in the plans, but no date has been set or announced as of yet. In 2022, the Efteling introduced a big puppet of the Djinn who walks around on the Fata Morgana square. The puppet is being controlled by a person in a big wheel behind the Djinn, along with the two guards who also control his hands. While the puppet is out and about, they seek interaction with children and other bystanders, which in turn makes the Djinn more approachable. For instance, the Djinn is asking kids whether they have been on Fata Morgana yet, and if not, he would ask them to count the amount of jewels in the ride. I think this is a good decision from the Efteling. Kids may actually be more inclined to join the boat tour at Fata Morgana and have a better first experience and interaction with the Djinn. And now we are heading to the scariest animatronic, or animatronics, in the Netherlands. And surprisingly, they're not at the Efteling. Oh no, for this terror, this sheer nightmare fuel, we are heading to Drievliet in The Hague. This park has a haunted house, but the true haunts don't happen there. No, we will have to enter the walkthrough attraction of the Singing Stall, or the Singing Barn. And how I wish I was kidding you. The Singing Barn is a sort of show with animals singing along with Old MacDonald's had a farm. You can press a button to activate the animal, but the animals are in such poor condition, it feels cruel to even press the button. Just have a look at all this footage. A goat is missing an eye, I am not sure what is growing on his fur, and just everything is broken. The cat has a nose that looks torn off, its bottom jaw is missing, and it looks like all the teeth are gone as well. The dog isn't in a much better state. I'm surprised it was even a dog to begin with. And this is all led by the ghoulish farmer playing on his banjo. All of it just looked completely neglected, dirty and torn. And this is supposed to be for kids. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. Drievliet has been taken over by the French Looping Group. And as I was planning out this video, they announced that they are completely renovating the singing barn. And from the pictures I have seen, this is a huge step up from what could be found in the barn last year. Just look at this comparison of the dog. I am glad Drievliet is getting some much needed investments, and the farm area was a great location to start with. So in a way, I am sad that these nightmarish animatronics will disappear, but at the same time, I am happy to see them getting some love. So while this list holds true for 2024, you sadly can't experience this final entry at the start of the theme park season anymore. I hope this list will not give you any nightmares tonight. And if I missed any animatronics that should have been on the list, let me know in the comments. And if you have gotten more intrigued by Max, you should watch this video next. It explains all the pranks Max and Moritz have pulled, how the Efteling has referenced them, and tells you of the one prank that the Efteling does not tell you about. Which makes our Chucky even more ominous, honestly.